Have you ever wondered why some seniors seem to lose their strength and mobility almost overnight, while others remain vibrant and active well into their 80s and 90s? The shocking truth is that certain foods can accelerate muscle loss so rapidly that just days of consumption can begin the devastating process of stealing your independence. While most people blame aging for their declining strength, the real culprit often sits right on their dinner plate. Here are 5 common foods that can destroy the power in your legs faster than you ever imagined possible. 5. High-sodium processed foods. The silent muscle destroyers. Fast food hamburgers, delivery pizza, and takeout. Chinese food might satisfy your taste buds, but they're waging a hidden war against your muscle tissue through their astronomical sodium content. These convenient meals contain levels of salt that can disrupt the delicate mineral balance your muscles need to function properly, creating a cascade of weakness that begins within hours of consumption. Excessive sodium doesn't just affect your blood pressure. It creates an inflammatory environment throughout your body that directly interferes with muscle protein synthesis, the process by which your body builds and maintains muscle tissue. When inflammation runs rampant, your muscles cannot repair themselves effectively, leading to gradual weakness and loss of function. Consider the case of Harold, a 73-year-old retired postal worker who developed a habit of ordering Chinese takeout 3 times a week after his wife passed away. Harold thought he was making reasonable choices by selecting dishes with vegetables and lean proteins, but he didn't realize the hidden sodium content was systematically undermining his strength. Within 2 months of this routine, Harold noticed alarming changes. His morning walks became more difficult. Getting up from his favorite chair required extra effort. His legs felt heavy and unreliable in ways that seemed to go beyond normal aging. The connection to his dietary choices only became clear when his doctor explained how excessive sodium intake can accelerate muscle deterioration. The mechanism behind this destruction involves sodium's effect on the cellular hydration and mineral balance. High sodium intake forces your body to retain excess water while depleting essential minerals like potassium and magnesium that are crucial for proper muscle contraction and recovery. This creates an internal environment where muscles cannot function optimally or maintain their strength. When Harold replaced his takeout meals with home-prepared foods using fresh ingredients and minimal added salt, the transformation was remarkable. Within weeks, his energy returned. His morning walks became enjoyable again, and the heavy feeling in his legs gradually disappeared. His muscles began responding to his daily activities with renewed strength and reliability. The convenience of processed foods masks their devastating impact on muscle health, making them particularly dangerous for seniors who may already be struggling with age-related changes in muscle function. Understanding this connection opens the door to making choices that support rather than undermine your physical capabilities. 4. Excessive red meat consumption. The protein paradox. Daily breakfast sausages, beef hot dogs, and processed meatballs represent a particularly insidious threat to senior muscle health because they masquerade as protein sources while delivering inflammatory compounds that can actually accelerate muscle breakdown. While protein is essential for maintaining muscle mass, the quality and processing of that protein makes all the difference. Processed red meats contain high levels of advanced glycation end products and inflammatory compounds that trigger systemic inflammation throughout your body. This inflammation doesn't just cause general discomfort. It directly interferes with your muscle's ability to use the protein you're consuming, essentially turning a muscle-building nutrient into a muscle-destroying liability. Meet Dorothy, a 68-year-old grandmother who prided herself on eating what she considered a protein-rich diet. Every morning she enjoyed 2 breakfast sausages with her eggs, believing she was providing her body with the nutrients needed to maintain her strength and independence. However, Dorothy began experiencing troubling symptoms that seemed unrelated to her diet. Her joints felt stiff and achy, particularly in the mornings. Her energy levels fluctuated unpredictably, and she noticed that her usual gardening activities left her feeling more fatigued than they should. Most concerning was a gradual weakening in her legs that made climbing stairs increasingly difficult. The revelation came when Dorothy learned about the inflammatory effects of processed meats and their impact on muscle health. The very foods she thought were supporting her strength were actually creating an internal environment hostile to muscle maintenance and repair. Processed red meats also contain excessive amounts of saturated fats that can interfere with circulation, reducing the efficient delivery of nutrients and oxygen to muscle tissues. Poor circulation compounds the inflammatory effects, creating a double assault on muscle health that can accelerate the loss of strength and function. When Dorothy replaced her daily processed meats with lean, unprocessed proteins like grilled chicken, fish, and plant-based options, the changes were gradual but profound. Her morning stiffness decreased, her energy levels stabilized, and the weakness in her legs began to reverse as her muscles regained their ability to function efficiently. The key lies in understanding that not all proteins are created equal, and the processing and preparation methods can transform a beneficial nutrient into a harmful substance that undermines the very goals you're trying to achieve. This understanding of protein quality becomes even more crucial when we examine the devastating effects that deep-fried foods can have on muscle function and overall health. 3. Deep-fried foods. The circulation saboteurs. Fast food fried chicken, fish, and chips and corn dogs represent some of the most dangerous foods for senior muscle health because they combine multiple destructive elements that work together to undermine circulation, increase inflammation, and interfere with the nutrient delivery systems that keep muscles strong and functional. The high temperatures used in deep frying create toxic compounds that directly damage blood vessels and reduce circulation efficiency. Poor circulation means your muscles receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients, while waste products accumulate, creating an environment where muscle tissue cannot maintain itself properly. Let me share the concerning story of Robert, a 71-year-old retired mechanic who developed a habit of stopping at fast food restaurants for fried chicken meals twice a week. Robert justified these choices as occasional treats and didn't connect them to the gradual changes he was experiencing in his physical capabilities. Over the course of 6 months, Robert noticed that his hands and feet often felt cold even in warm weather. His legs began feeling heavy and tired more quickly during his daily activities. Most alarming was a noticeable decline in his grip strength and overall coordination that seemed to accelerate after his fried food meals. The connection became clear when Robert's doctor explained how the trans fats and oxidized oils in deep-fried foods create inflammatory compounds that damage the inner lining of blood vessels. This vascular damage reduces the efficient delivery of nutrients to muscle tissues while promoting the accumulation of inflammatory substances that directly interfere with muscle function. Deep-fried foods also contain acrylamide and other toxic compounds formed during high-temperature cooking that can interfere with nerve function and muscle coordination. These neurotoxic effects compound the circulatory problems, creating multiple pathways through which fried foods can undermine muscle health and physical function. The transformation that followed Robert's decision to eliminate deep-fried foods was remarkable. Within a month, his circulation improved noticeably. The cold feeling in his extremities disappeared, and his muscles began responding with renewed strength and coordination. His grip strength returned to levels he hadn't experienced in months. The lesson here extends beyond just avoiding fried foods to understanding how cooking methods can transform otherwise healthy ingredients into substances that actively work against your health goals. This awareness of how food preparation affects muscle health becomes even more critical when examining foods that many people don't realize contain muscle-damaging compounds. 2. High purine foods and beverages. The hidden inflammatory triggers. Beer and energy drinks containing meat extracts might seem unrelated to muscle health, but they contain high levels of purines that can trigger inflammatory responses throughout your body, including in muscle tissue. These compounds create uric acid when metabolized, leading to inflammation that can directly interfere with muscle function and recovery. The purine content in these beverages is often overlooked because the connection to muscle health isn't immediately obvious. However, elevated uric acid levels create systemic inflammation that affects not just joints but also the muscle tissues that depend on optimal internal conditions to maintain their strength and function. Consider the experience of Margaret, a 69-year-old retired teacher who enjoyed a beer with dinner most evenings and occasionally consumed energy drinks when she felt tired. Margaret considered these moderate indulgences harmless and was proud of her otherwise healthy lifestyle that included regular walking and a balanced diet. However, Margaret began experiencing symptoms that puzzled both her and her healthcare providers. Her muscles felt stiff and sore, particularly in the mornings. Her energy levels became unpredictable, with periods of fatigue that seemed disproportionate to her activity levels. Most concerning was a gradual loss of muscle strength that seemed to accelerate despite her continued physical activity. The breakthrough came when blood tests revealed elevated uric acid levels that were creating chronic low-grade inflammation throughout Margaret's body. This inflammation was interfering with her muscles' ability to repair and maintain themselves, essentially sabotaging her efforts to stay strong and active. High-purine foods and beverages create a metabolic burden that forces your body to work harder to process waste products while dealing with increased inflammation. This diverts energy and resources away from muscle maintenance and repair, creating conditions where muscle tissue cannot thrive. When Margaret eliminated her evening beer and replaced energy drinks with natural alternatives like green tea, the changes were gradual but significant. Her morning stiffness decreased, her energy levels stabilized, and her muscle strength began returning as the inflammatory burden on her system reduced. The hidden nature of purine-related muscle problems makes them particularly dangerous because people often don't connect their beverage choices to their physical symptoms, allowing the damage to continue unchecked. This understanding of hidden inflammatory triggers prepares us to examine the most surprising category of muscle-damaging foods that many seniors consume believing they're making healthy choices. 1. Refined carbohydrates. The energy thieves. Masquerading as health foods, bagels, muffins, and pre-sweetened instant oatmeal represent perhaps the most deceptive threat to senior muscle health because they're often perceived as healthy breakfast choices while actually delivering rapid blood sugar spikes that can interfere with muscle protein synthesis and promote muscle breakdown. These refined carbohydrates cause dramatic fluctuations in blood sugar and insulin levels that create an internal environment hostile to muscle maintenance. When blood sugar spikes rapidly, it triggers inflammatory responses and interferes with your body's ability to use protein effectively for muscle repair and growth. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 72-year-old retired librarian who prided herself on eating what she considered a healthy breakfast every morning: a whole grain bagel with cream cheese and a large blueberry muffin with her coffee. Eleanor believed she was starting her day with nutritious, energy-providing foods. However, Eleanor began experiencing concerning patterns that seemed unrelated to her breakfast choices. She felt energetic for about an hour after eating, followed by a crash that left her feeling weak and shaky. Her muscles felt unreliable, particularly during the mid-morning hours when she tried to do household tasks or go for walks. Most troubling was a gradual loss of muscle mass that seemed to accelerate despite Eleanor's efforts to stay active. Her clothes began fitting differently, and she noticed decreased strength in her arms and legs that made daily activities more challenging. The connection became clear when Eleanor learned about the glycemic impact of refined carbohydrates and their effect on muscle metabolism. The rapid blood sugar spikes from her breakfast were creating hormonal conditions that promoted muscle breakdown while interfering with muscle protein synthesis. Refined carbohydrates also deplete essential B vitamins and minerals that are crucial for muscle function. The processing that creates these convenient foods strips away nutrients while concentrating sugars that can interfere with the absorption and utilization of protein from other sources. When Eleanor replaced her refined carbohydrate breakfast with steel-cut oats topped with nuts and fresh berries, the transformation was remarkable. Her energy levels stabilized throughout the morning. The weak and shaky feelings disappeared, and her muscles began responding with renewed strength and reliability. The lesson extends beyond breakfast to understanding how the timing and type of carbohydrates can either support or undermine your muscle health goals, making food choices a critical component of maintaining strength and independence. Advanced strategies for muscle-supporting nutrition. The key to protecting and building muscle strength lies not just in avoiding harmful foods, but in actively choosing nutrients that support muscle protein synthesis and reduce inflammation. Lean proteins from fish, poultry, and plant sources provide the amino acids your muscles need without the inflammatory compounds found in processed meats. Anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, berries, and omega-3 rich fish can help counteract the damage from occasional dietary indiscretions while providing nutrients that actively support muscle health. The timing of nutrient intake also matters, with protein consumption after physical activity being particularly beneficial for muscle maintenance and growth. Consider incorporating foods rich in magnesium, potassium, and antioxidants that support muscle function and recovery. These nutrients work synergistically to create an internal environment where muscles can thrive rather than merely survive. The psychological impact of dietary choices on physical confidence. Making better food choices creates psychological benefits that extend far beyond physical improvements. As your muscles grow stronger and more reliable, confidence in your physical capabilities returns. You begin trusting your body again, feeling less vulnerable to weakness or limitation. This renewed confidence often leads to increased activity and social engagement, creating a positive cycle where better nutrition supports increased activity, which further improves muscle health and overall well-being. The sense of control that comes from actively supporting your muscle health through dietary choices provides psychological benefits that enhance overall life satisfaction and independence. Building long-term success through sustainable dietary changes. Success in maintaining muscle strength requires viewing dietary changes as permanent lifestyle adjustments rather than temporary restrictions. Your muscles need consistent nutritional support to maintain their strength and function throughout your later years. Focus on gradually replacing harmful foods with beneficial alternatives, rather than attempting dramatic changes that may be difficult to sustain. As you experience the benefits of muscle-supporting nutrition, the motivation to continue making positive choices often increases naturally. Track how different foods make you feel, particularly in terms of energy levels, muscle function, and overall well-being. This awareness provides powerful motivation to continue making choices that support, rather than undermine, your physical capabilities. Conclusion. Your daily choice between strength and weakness. The transition from an active lifestyle to a sedentary one often begins not from increasing age, but from daily food choices that gradually undermine your physical capabilities. Every meal represents a crucial decision. Are you choosing flexibility or rigidity for your future? Your muscles are waiting for the nutritional support they need to maintain their strength and function. The foods you choose today determine whether you'll remain independent and active or gradually surrender to preventable weakness and limitation. The power to maintain your strength and mobility lies not in expensive treatments or complex interventions, but in the simple act of choosing foods that support, rather than sabotage, your muscle health. Your future self will thank you for every positive choice you make today. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more insights on healthy aging. Leave a comment sharing your own experiences with dietary changes. And give this video a thumbs up if it helped you understand these hidden threats to muscle health. Share this information with friends and family who could benefit from protecting their strength and independence through better nutrition choices.